Hey everyone, I'm Jamie Plies. This is my buddy Larry Rivera.
What up?
We're with Your Everyday Solution.
That's right.
We should totally let you know that, right? And Your Everyday Solution, real quick, stands for what? Saying yes. Saying yes more to life. So what are we going to talk about today?
Today we're going to talk about having a poverty mindset. And if we get time in this video, no promises. We might talk a little bit about having a vision, but today we're going to talk about poverty mindset.
Right, and if we don't get to vision today, we'll definitely do that on our next video. So keep that in mind. Vision is coming soon. Maybe later in this video, maybe not. Keep watching to find out. All right, so you were telling me, are you okay? Do you need a drink?
I was yawning.
Oh, he needs to wake up.
You need to wake up? Wait, well, I'm yawning because I got a quick funny story. This is like the 4th time we tried to make this video in the past 20 minutes.
Actually, it's the 3rd time.
Like the 8th time even.
No, 3rd.
It's only the 3rd?
Yeah, it's only the 3rd.
am I exaggerating?
He's exaggerating.
Okay, so here we go.
I want you to talk about the story you were telling me about your one friend.
Okay. All right, so the other day, one of my friends was moving, right? She's moving into an apartment, and she needs some help because she had to get some free furniture. Now, the furniture was oversized. I'm going to add to the story.
Sure, go right ahead. I mean, tell the whole thing. Let it all out.
You know, the furniture that we were getting, or that she asked me to help her get, was a couch. And we're talking about a nice living room, pull-out bed type of couch, and she was getting it for free. And the problem is, she moved in upstairs into a one-bedroom apartment where this couch could barely fit. So I had to call another one of my friends, right, who agreed to help me. I had to go pick him up because his car blew up on him and he didn't have a vehicle.
Not literally blew up. Just so you know, it didn't go up in flames, but the engine's not working.
The engine's not working. It didn't go boom or anything like that. But talking to my two friends, now I grew up in a neighborhood and there's people around me who are not as well off as I am. And when you're surrounded with people who have a poverty mindset, you quickly can see kind of how this happens, why this happens, and there's a way to break free from this, actually. And we're going to talk about that. But most people who are struggling in an online business or struggling in an offline business or struggling in their everyday life, it's usually because somehow they acquired this virus called poverty mindset.
Yeah, I like what you just called it. It really is a virus. Because once it hits one person in a family, it tends to start to affect more people.
You know, negativity breeds negativity, positiveness breeds positiveness. It's just the way of the world.
Right.
Part of the issue here is, where did this come from? Do you think you were born subconsciously having a poverty mindset? No, it's taught. Poverty mindset is taught, and it's taught over a course of generations. So it isn't like you woke up one day and you were thinking, hey, I don't live in poverty. In fact, people who have poverty mindset are some of the hardest working people you will ever meet. For example, right now, if you're one of those people who, you know, you're having a hard time making your bills meet, you kind of go shopping and you look at something and you go, nah, I'm not going to buy X because X costs this much money. I'm going to buy Y because Y is much cheaper. Even though I really want X. You know, sometimes I believe if you want something, you get what you want, not necessarily cut yourself a deal, buy a cheaper version of what you were looking for, because you often get what you pay for. That is developed by your parents. It's developed by their parents, right? When I was a young kid, I was told you need to go to school, you need to get an education, you need to work very hard, and one day just maybe you can retire and live the rest of your days watching TV and eating pictures. Or maybe not.
It sounds like a very unfulfilling life,
yeah,
actually.
Not very exciting at all. But the point is, you know, you work real hard until you retire, and then you retire and you're done. And that's not how life is supposed to be, folks. I've made a lot of money, and I never, income disclaimer, we might mention some money. There's no guarantee that you're going to make any money at all from what we're saying. I just want to share with you these pitfalls to avoid, or if you're stuck in this poverty mindset, you can get yourself out of it. Some people call it stinking thinking.
Right.
Poverty mindset. You know, so back to my friend. So he's in his mid-40s. He's made like $14,000 last year. Single guy, no kids, no responsibilities, works his ass off. I think the guy works 2 jobs.
Right. Can you imagine that you're working 2 jobs and you're still only making $14,000 for the year?
Well, you know, one of the things he said to me, he said, you know, man, Larry, the world's just beating me up. I cannot get ahead, no matter how hard I work. It's one thing after another, after another, after another. And I said, hey, bro, you know, I got this gig I do. It's like $40 a month is what I told him. I said, dude, I can show you how to do it. It's pretty easy, man. I make thousands of dollars a month. You just got to change the way that you think. He goes, I don't know if I can do that. You got to have that internet connection. It might be too hard. I was like...
And he also said something else. He said he couldn't afford that.
He couldn't afford it. He couldn't afford the $40. Here's the funny part. He couldn't afford the $40 for an opportunity to make thousands of dollars. But after we were done helping our lady friend, he was like, listen, he's like, hey Larry, let's stop at this kind of sports bar and grab some wings. He goes, it's my treat. I said, oh, it's your treat. And I thought that was interesting. He offered it, it was his treat, but the reality is the lady that we helped gave us like a tip to help her. So really, lunch was on her. That's the truth. I didn't want her money. She just wouldn't let me leave unless I take it. So I took it. Yeah, I like when people throw money at me. It's kind of cool. But so we went to go get, we had wings. I got wings, he got wings. But when it was all said and done, we spent $38 for some wings.
Well, hold up. You're not telling the whole story. Doesn't this person go there on a regular basis?
He goes there all the time. He knows everybody there. Oh my God. Everybody's giving him hugs and high fives. I'm looking at the guy. I'm like, whoa, dude, you know this many people? He's like, yeah, I know everybody. They all love me. Like, everybody loves you. So here's a man.
With tons of people who love him.
Tons of people who love him, right? But a lot of them will do whatever he says because they love him. And he's sitting there and he can't figure out how to have $40 because it costs too much money. When the reality is he can take that $40, just be himself, and probably turn that $40 into $40,000.
Right, and all he has to do is stop eating some wings out a couple times a week.
Now, $40,000.
Take that money and put it elsewhere, make some money, then he can go eat his wings whenever he wants.
Well, sure, $40,000 doesn't sound like it's that much money, but when you're a man making $14,000, $40,000 is a fortune.
But it's a mindset though, because $40 in wings isn't a lot of money to him, but $40 to make more money. So do you see where we're going with this? Like there's that poverty mindset going on. It's okay for me to go eat out, or to go to Starbucks, or to the movies, or whatever I'm wasting cash on. It's okay to do those things, but oh my God, invest 25, 40 bucks into something that might make me money. Well, I just can't afford that.
Right.
When in reality, they can't afford not to.
They think, you know, a lot of people think that it's hard, right? People who have poverty mindset, they think everything's hard. It's hard to spend $40. And we're just using, not that anything costs $40 necessarily, we're just using that as a number, right? It could be $1,000. 40 bucks is just a decent number. But, you know, they're saying, you know, it costs $40, that's too much money. It's really hard. However, the same people who are saying that $40 is a lot of money and that it's too hard, they're the ones working really, really hard to make nothing, to struggle every month. At the end of the month, sitting there looking at the bills coming in, not realizing they don't have the money to spend to pay their bills. But they're working very hard. In many cases, they're working 45 hours, 50 hours a week at a job, listening to somebody telling them how to live their life, how to breathe, when they can go to the bathroom. Right? I remember I had a job one time where I said to my boss, man, I'll be back, I gotta go to the bathroom, and he looked at me and he was like, you couldn't believe it, I had to go to the bathroom. I felt, I know the word, I felt humiliated, right? Because I had to go to the bathroom and I asked my boss on work time if I could go. That was kind of humiliating. So what we have here is this person, right? We'll call them, what should we call this person? Mr. P. We got Mr. P.
Mr. Poverty.
Mr. Poverty, Mrs. Poverty. They're always running around, right? They're working their asses off, and they have nothing. Everything's too hard, except for the fact that they already are working hard.
Right.
Because they can't see that this little $40 opportunity, let's just use, right, could change their life. And I'm talking about any internet marketing opportunity. Dude. Any opportunity on the internet could change your life. Most people could use an extra $200. Most people could use an extra $400. You know, people are blessed to make an extra $1,000. Some people can make an extra $5,000.
Right.
Some folks make an extra $30,000. It does not matter. If you're working all the time and you know what your monthly expenses are and you have an extra $500 on top of that, what can you do with that extra $500 in your life?
How can that help you? And then you said something really important, Larry, like it doesn't really matter, and I know like a lot of people are gonna cringe when I say this, it really doesn't matter what the opportunity is, it matters what you do with that opportunity. A lot of people, I mean obviously, you know, I'm not gonna name any companies, but there's been companies that have been around before I was even alive that are still around today in our industry. People are still setting up brand new and what? Making money. So there's no such thing as saturation, first of all. And it obviously doesn't matter what per se the compensation plan is. Now obviously what matters in the compensation plan is that you feel that it is worth your time, meaning whatever you're doing the effort, does it make sense that you're getting paid X, Y, and Z? Because if it doesn't make sense to you that you're getting paid 10%, 40%, whatever, then that's something you need to be concerned with. But the point is, no matter what the opportunity is, it is possible for you to make money if you're willing to do the work. Now, I don't think we did an income disclaimer, so I'm going to do one right now. We cannot guarantee that you're going to make anything at all because we don't know you. We don't know what you're willing to do, what you're not, if you're going to have a poverty mindset, if you're not, if you're going to get in your own way or not. We have no idea, so we can't promise you anything. But, you know, Larry, like, talk about this generational poverty. Like, what are some generational poverty things that were spoken into your life from your family?
Well, you know, my dad was really good at this. My dad used to tell me all the time that, you know, if I want to scrub toilets for a living, which I came close to actually doing, if I want to scrub toilets for a living, I gotta be the best toilet scrubber. I gotta work really hard day and night to really be a good toilet scrubber. Toilet scrubbing doesn't pay that much money, and it's a lot of hard work, and it's kind of filthy. You know, another generational poverty type of mindset is in your everyday life. You know, you're always being told you need to save your money, don't spend on this, don't spend on that. When the reality, folks, business people, entrepreneurs, let's make a dividing line. Can you make a dividing line? There's two types of people in this and you're gonna fall in either one of these categories, and only you know if it's you or not. There's the person who's serious about wanting to be in a home business, right? They're serious about it. And then there's a person who looks at it like it's a hobby. Let's just say three.
I was gonna say there's the people that really want a job. And they like to say a job. I don't know what to tell you.
Right. Well, if you're not taking this like a business, well then it doesn't matter. And you know what? None of this matters. If it's a hobby to you, have fun. Go have fun.
It's gonna pay you like most high.
I like to fly helicopters, little RC helicopters. I can't make money doing that.
Well, maybe there's a way to do that. I mean, you can blog about them, talk about them.
Yeah, but you know,
review them.
There's not a big.
There's actually a lot of ways.
There's not a big demand for RC jockeys. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe not RC jockeys, but I'm sure you could totally niche that out on the internet, make some money. I'm just saying.
You could probably make a little bit of money too.
I bet you there's a niche for that.
What are we talking about?
So we're talking about generational poverty. So
generational poverty. Okay, so
was there anything else?
Yes, there is. Yes. So my grandmom, right? My grandmom, I used to go shopping, and I'd get a shirt, and I go buy me jeans or something, and then I'd go see my grandma, and my grandma would be like, Larry, how much did that cost you? And I'd be like, I don't know, the shirt was like $50, the pants were like 60. And her eyes would get real wide, and she was telling me, I just waste money all the time. And I was like, Grandma, that's the clothes I liked. It was the store I was in, I wanted to buy it. And anyways, because of my grandma and my mom, I got into this habit of constantly, as I got older, buying things that was kind of like what I wanted, but it wasn't really what I wanted. It was a lot cheaper than what I wanted. And what I found was, I never really was happy with it. Like I wanted speakers for one of my old, or sound cards for one of my old computers. There's this really nice sound card that I wanted, had all the bells and whistles, and I was like, that's a lot of money. I'll get this other card that's like $60 cheaper. Instead of saving the extra $60 to get what I really wanted, I opted to get the cheaper card because I didn't want to spend the extra money. And so I was never happy with the card anyways, and eventually the card broke. Right? It was just some crappy, you know, I don't want to say anything politically incorrect, but it just wasn't from around here, and it was garbage. I should have bought a nicer card. But this generational poverty mindset, you see it all the time, right? People come around, I'm not going to do that stuff. You know, that's unless you're working really hard, you don't deserve the money you make, you're scamming someone. Don't you know that the richest people in the world hardly work at all? Did you know that? The more money that you make...
Well, they're really good at outsourcing,
Yeah.
which we should make another video on.
That's going to be another video.
Yeah.
That's about it. Generational poverty is just something you're born with, and you know this is plaguing you if you're working your job as hard as you can,
And there never seems to be enough.
and there's never enough money.
You know, some of the generational poverty curses, because I mean, it really is like a curse. You know, once it's
Yeah, and I don't know what, you know, real quick, I don't know what you believe, and of course everybody's entitled to whatever they believe, but, you know, I believe in God. That's something that I do believe in. And they talk in the Bible about curses following through generations. And it's really in there. You look it up. I'm not lying. And when I first heard that, I laughed a little bit at it, but it's kind of, there's a lot of things, you know, I'm going off on the side track a little bit, but a little bit with the laws of attraction and all this other stuff where there's a lot of truth inside of what's being said. This is a curse, friends. If you're in a situation right now where things are feeling really down and you don't feel like anything's working for you, you're trapped in this curse. You're in a loop. You are living in a generational poverty mindset and you don't realize you're there because literally at a snap of a finger, you can change your destiny. Just like that. Poof. And you don't have to live that way.
Absolutely, yeah, you can be totally broken free from it. Some of the generational curses that, and poverty mindset that we had growing up in my household was my mom would literally let money stress her to the point of literally like getting sick, like physically, like she would get ill. And my dad was always like the guy that the world was out to get him, kind of like your friend you were talking about, like, oh, the world's out to get me or whatever. So these are some of the things that a lot of times people, you know, will think about, like money will stress them out to the point where they physically start getting ill, you know, whether like that manifests into sickness or not, or you just see them look really stressed out and just not feeling good, or the world is always out to get them. So I had both of those going on. So the reason that there was never enough money in my household wasn't because my parents weren't good entrepreneurs. I mean, I actually grew up in a household that had an entrepreneurial mindset, a go-getter mindset. Both of my parents did not finish high school, so they automatically assumed that one of the reasons they weren't as successful as they could be was because they didn't finish high school and they didn't go to college. So they automatically programmed into me at a very young age, you have to finish school, you have to go to college. So what did I do? I went to college, of course, because I have to. You know, I'm looking at my parents, I'm seeing them struggling, and I'm thinking, okay, well, they say the reason they're not making as much money as they could be and not successful as they could be is because why? They didn't go finish their high school and they didn't go to college. So I went to college, guess what I ended up with? A giant wad of debt. And did it make me more successful? Actually, no.
I never went to college. I can barely read, write, draw, or talk.
Actually,
Or
he can read really well, and his writing's totally improved. Oh my God!
That's
I don't
why
know if you want to see this.
That's why I don't get the Sharpie marker because she seen my scratch one day. She's like, no.
His handwriting is atrocious.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you'll be able to read it.
I never got past that. So basically, and I do all right.
I play
I mean, in
piano
all honesty, in my life, you know me,
No,
inside marketing and inside our martial arts business.
That part doesn't matter. It
I
really
thrive,
doesn't.
right?
Yeah.
Just in general, doesn't matter what I do, I just thrive because I'm too simple not to.
Well, it's all about mindset.
Well, there's a little bit more to that, and I said earlier on that we were going to talk about a way to get rid of this poverty mindset and how to change your life.
Can I finish my story? Yeah, he's talking all this time, and then he doesn't want to let me finish my story. It's kind of rude, don't you think? I'm just saying. Okay, so I went to school. I got this giant wad of debt or whatever, but there was some other stuff that I saw in my household going on that funny enough, I didn't pick up on that. You can come back in. Come on, don't be afraid. So the thing is, my mom always stressed out about money, and I picked up on patterns as I was growing up. Like I'd see these patterns that my parents would create, and I'd be like, whoa, something's not right about this. So I saw the more my mom stressed out about money, the less money we had. And the more she had to continue to stress out, and the less money we had. There was like this vicious cycle going on. So I kept saying to myself, okay, I'm not going to stress out about money when I, get out on my own. So I cognitively was aware that there was this pattern here. And so I did my best to not worry about money. However, there still never seemed to be enough. And I would get a little bit stressed out. Not as bad as my mom, but there was a little bit of stress going on there. For me, and like Larry says, you know, your beliefs are your beliefs, but one thing that set me personally free was in 2009 when I realized what God's plans for me and what his promises were for me. And when I found out that he provides all my basic needs, and that if I truly believe in that and what he says to me, that I will never have to want or need for another thing in my life. Once I accepted that, because I realized if I don't believe in that, well then I'm calling God a liar. And I don't know about you, but that's not something that I personally want to do. And I believe that he's a perfect God, and that if he says he's going to do something for me, then that's going to happen. So once I realized I was calling God a liar by not trusting in him, I said, you know what? I'm not going to worry about this stuff anymore. And from that point on, I never did have to worry about a thing. Even when my bank account had $0 in it, and my rent was due the next day, somehow, some way, a client would come through, because I used to be a freelance graphic designer for those of you that don't know. The client would come needing exactly whatever it was, the amount that I needed. Like whatever their work was that they needed ended up being exactly the amount I needed. And I always had a way to pay for my bills and have food, and whatever it was that I needed, it happened. So it's a choice. Being stressed about money is a choice. You have an option where you can either say, I'm going to let this stuff stress me out, which is going to do what? Put you in an endless cycle of being stressed out about money, needing more money, wanting more money, or you can choose to trust that God has your back. Whether you believe in that or not, if you want to call it the universe or whatever, if you believe in the law of attraction, which is all based on biblical principles, just know that your thoughts, your actions are going to manifest something. So you can choose to manifest something good, or you can choose to manifest something bad. So those were some of the things that I noticed. And then as far as the world out to get you, that's just being paranoid. I mean, yeah, there might be some people that are out to get you.
It's more cut and dry than this, Jamie.
You know, really?
See this?
Okay, yeah.
I come from an old school of hard knocks. And I do a lot of martial arts. And there's a way to stop having a poverty mindset right now. You know how that is?
Stop.
Stop what?
Just stop doing it.
Stop being a victim. Stop being a victim. This only occurs in your life because you're allowing it to occur. It's the way that you view the world. It's the way that you see the world. It's the way that you perceive everything around you. And it is your choice. You have a choice to keep following what you were taught, knowing full well that it leads to basically sadness.
Right.
We have a very short time on this world. If we're lucky, Jamie, she's told me she's living to be 120.
At least 120.
But let's be honest, that's not that long. It's not that long. It's a very short time. And it's a shame that people go through their entire life living this way. So the first thing that you have to do to stop this is you got to stop being a victim.
You have to make a choice. Like in 2009, I made a choice to stop worrying. And then I never had to worry again.
Mm-hmm.
But it was my personal choice. If I didn't make that choice, I would have kept on continuing that pattern.
So to stop being a victim, the way that you stop being a victim is you start feeling empowered.
Absolutely.
You start feeling powerful. You start feeling like you have control over the situation. Right? And what we do in the home business world, we empowered ourselves, is what we did. We put leverage on our side.
Gave ourselves freedom.
Right? Just recently, and we're not going to talk too much about this, we put ourselves in a situation, and that situation was, all right, we hear people talking all the time, they don't have any money, they can't do this, they can't do that,
right.
Life is hard. Right? Okay, sure, life is hard. So we took what we knew.
Yes.
We brainstormed.
Oh, we brainstormed a lot. We got out the whiteboard, we were just going crazy.
We figured we have no money, all right, so how do we do this? How do we make things happen? And what did we start making?
We started making sales.
We started making sales. From nothing. We didn't spend any money, really, did we?
No, we didn't.
So we took zero budget, $0.
Nothing out of pocket.
Nothing out of pocket. We even did something that was so silly easy, I think anyone can kind of really do it. And we're not going to talk about that in this video because
that's for another time.
That's some
We're still
other
testing
time.
that out and working out.
But the point here is poverty mindset freezes you from taking action on anything that can better your life.
Right.
If you're sitting there and you're actually already thinking, oh my God, where's the punchline? When are these guys going to bang me over the head and try to sell me something? Hey, listen.
Are these guys out to get me
She's
too?
Jamie Pillais, I'm Larry Rivera. Either you know us because you're on our list, either you found us because of a web search, Whatever you want to do, you can find out who we are. We're not doing this video because we're trying to bang you over the head. We're doing this video because I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's stuck in poverty mindset and had us.
And there's a lot of people that are stuck in that. Like, your friend's not the only person.
No, that's what I want to share. Because these guys, especially that dude in the purple shirt.
I see him.
He looks really confused. We're doing it for you, dude. We're making this video so you have a way.
And I see that woman right there with the off-white shirt on, and I see, like, she's just got.
She doesn't believe you're seeing her, though.
I know she doesn't, but she's completely stressed out because she's like my mom. She's been letting money stress her out, and she doesn't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
You don't. And so, okay, so step one is stop being a victim. You gotta stop being a victim.
Make the choice today, right now, to say, you know what? I'm tired of this generational poverty affecting my life, my family. Whether you have kids or not, be a part of the solution, not part of the problem.
In one of the martial arts styles I teach, it's called Wing Chun. Some of you have heard of it, some of you may have not, but that doesn't matter. In Wing Chun, there is 3 branches of skill development, the second one being Chun Kyu. And within that Chun Kyu sect of Wing Chun, you start learning a drill called Chi Sao. You start developing what's called a bridge. I bet you're wondering why that's relevant and important. So, we don't want you to be a victim. Because until you realize that you're being a victim, you're stuck in a rut with no place to go. You just keep going in a circle. The next thing you need to do is, when in martial arts we call searching the bridge, we're trying to find out what our opponent is doing, and so we're relying on their energy to tell us what's happening. So we can accordingly act to the stimulus that's going on. Now here's the deal. In breaking yourself from poverty mindset, in doing stuff on the internet, you need a teacher, a mentor, someone who doesn't do the work for you, because let's understand something clearly. Nobody can make anybody else anything ever at all.
Ever.
Right?
Ever.
What you do need is you need to find someone of experience who can kind of sit down with you. And I want to say this because there's a mindset out there that says, you know, we're not going to teach you nothing. Just get in, spend money, pay me. And there's thousands of those people out there. In fact, some of those nice people's list that you're on who's telling you to have a big dream and this is easy and that's easy, that individual probably may never get a hold of you, and that's probably true for a lot of the people's list that you're on. Personal relationships, personal interaction, someone who's going to show you exactly the steps they took to break their own chains, their own shackles. Poverty can be overcome simply by making a decision to no longer be poor, because poor is a mindset, it's not a monetary set.
Right, and we can't convince you, nor can we force you to make that change right now. That's something that you have to decide you're sick and tired of, and choose to make that change.
You know, maybe, just maybe, you've heard something that Jamie had to say today, and maybe it resonated with you, and you're thinking, geez, I'd like to talk to that girl. Now, you guys out there, I'm sure you want to talk to her. I'm not putting nothing out there. I'm just saying.
When my phone starts ringing off the hook, I know why.
But the truth here is something that she might have said may have resonated with you, and you may need to talk to her personally, right? And actually hear her full story, right? Understand how she got to where she is right now, where she's been. Maybe same with me. Maybe it's something I said that makes sense to you. Maybe you identify with me. Maybe you don't identify with either of us, and that's okay too.
Absolutely. Right? You might just think we're insane.
We might be a little
that's okay
insane.
Too.
Right? But this video is for you because it's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call. If you've taken the time to listen to us this far in this video, then you really do care about what's happening in your life.
It means you're committed
to something. And what I'm saying to you, it starts with you realizing that you've been a victim for a lot of years, and it's time for you to stop being a victim. It's time for you to stand up, look in the mirror, and love yourself. That's what it's time for. Because you do have inside of you the ability to do some amazing things in your life if you would just allow yourself to believe it's possible. Most people don't even believe it's possible.
A lot of people don't. And that goes back to a lot of other things that maybe happened in their past.
In fact, there's someone sitting there right now struggling, not realizing how easy we're making money on the internet.
It's kind of sick. Like, we we
I
can't
feel
really
bad.
tell you exactly what we're doing right now because we want to make sure like
Well,
everything
let's-
that we give you guys is something that we've gone through the trenches. Okay, we've worked out all the bugs. It's because
Hang on. Listen, there was a little hiccup in the video. I had to go hit play again. So you're going to have to rewind your conversation maybe 4 seconds.
Okay, I'm not sure where I just left off, so I'm just gonna say this, everything that we do, we test out extensively. So when we are giving you advice or sharing something with you, it's because we've personally already gone through that. We've already tested that out, and we know that for sure, if you are willing to do the work, that it's gonna work for you. So, long story short, yesterday, we took the day off, right?
Yep.
Chilling,
Yep.
you helped a friend out.
Yep.
He did a little hard labor, just a little bit. But we didn't work.
Getting
We didn't do.
old.
We didn't do any work. Don't listen to him. Shh. No, he's not old. But we didn't do any work for our business. Is what I'm
I
trying to
didn't
say.
do no work.
And or for this thing that we're doing to show people that you can take absolutely nothing and make it into something. And we still made 4 sales. 4 sales on a day off.
Income disclaimer,
Can guarantee
nothing.
Absolutely. So just know if you feel like you don't have enough money, it's because you're feeling like you don't have enough money, and so you're never going to have enough money.
It's true. What she
It
just
is.
said is true.
If you're going to stress out about money, you're going to continue to stress out about money. If you feel like the world is out to get you, you're going to continue to feel like the world's out to get you. Do you see a pattern here? Whatever you feel, whatever you believe, whatever you think, that's what's going to come to you.
And I'm going to cut the video off like this to keep you guys, well, I want you to watch the next video is what I really want. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Well, I think they've been, very generous, and they've sat here and listened to
So,
all this.
in our
We'll
next
have to
video,
share more with
in
you
our
guys.
next video, let's just, the solution to poverty mindset, stop being poor, thinking-minded person. Just know that you're being a victim right now, and some of it's a little bit of a pity party, and some of it, you need a good kick swift in the ass to say, get up off your butt, and
Like that.
did she just do a kick? I think she just do a kick.
I did.
And a kia even. You never
I
know.
think they needed a visual.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen in these videos. So the fact is here that you can stop having this poverty mindset. It's very easy. Connect with the right people. Listen to the right conversations.
You need to become a really great self-corrector because, yes, we just told you it's easy as just making the choice right now to stop doing that. However, since you probably have already created this pattern, this
It's a habit. How do
Right?
I say we break habits? Here's how you break a habit. My Sifu, my teacher, my martial arts instructor, I was doing like a bad punch. I was doing a very bad punch. That's it.
Like that?
Just like that. Very kind of weak, no
What the heck
power,
was that?
no snap, no nothing. Just very kind of like. Anyways, he told me, and it's true. I gotta stay within frame. He told me that if I want to break a bad habit, I have to put a good habit on top of the bad habit
Right.
10,000 times.
10,000 times.
Right? So if I can't punch, right, then I gotta punch and punch and punch and punch and punch until, and then she's gonna hurt me. Until, got her. Until you learn how to punch correctly.
Right.
After doing it 10,000 times, it'll cover the bad times.
So you have to become a really great self-corrector.
Yes.
I don't even know if that's
Change
a
your
word, but
habits.
I've been using that for a long time, and that's what I've done with myself. You'll hear that poverty mindset come in, and you just need to smack it down. Just smack it down like that.
I don't know about her. She's kicking, she's smacking, dude. I'm ready to fight.
Smack it down and replace it with something positive and good. And that might take, like you said, your CP said, like 10,000 plus
Yep.
times. But eventually, it's going to become less and less and less and less until you've created a new habit. So that's what you got to do right now.
Create new habits, get rid of stinking thinking, understand that you're being a victim if you're living in poverty, and understand that the more harder,
The more hard.
I make money online, I swear.
So you don't have to, be a perfectionist or anything
The
to make
more
money.
you struggle and work hard to make that dollar, the less you're going to have until you understand
Because you stay struggling.
how to have a vision, a why, and we're going to talk about how to have a vision and how to have a why that's effective and meaningful, just not in this video.
So, somewhere around this video, there's probably like an opt-in.
And if
form.
there's not, it's okay. Thank you for
okay.
watching anyways.
Find us on Facebook or something. I'm sure there's
Facebook.
some way to contact us. Maybe you're already on our email list or whatever. Just stay tuned. But if you're not, sign in or click a link or
Jamie
something.
loves talking to people.
So does Larry, even though he says he doesn't. You didn't hear that from me.
But like really, like yo, dude, dudettes.
Especially you, lady in the cream shirt.
No,
I didn't forget about you.
I was just gnarly man. And it's rad. But you never heard that one. Because you're probably like young and I'm old. So, yeah, that's what I got for you.
We're totally like losing it. We're just getting silly. We love you all. Make sure you connect with us some way, somehow.
We don't bite hard. Often.
Most of the time.
Right. Okay, have a great day.
All right, love you all.
Bye.
Bye.